Okay, what's going on, everybody? We're here, we're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please let me know if you can hear and see me clearly while I adjust my mic a little bit. Drop a 1 if you can hear and see me clearly. Then we can get on with today's show. Uh, Jenny, Jenny Lamb, I'm glad you were finally able to catch a live stream. I don't do them too well. I shouldn't say I don't do them too often. I do them a lot more than I have in recent years, right? So I'm glad you're finally able to catch me on a live stream and that you could join us. I see the ones are finally coming in. The ones are coming in. I want to make sure that I do this before we get started because I forgot last live stream. And but I do mention this at the end of all my pre-recorded videos, right? If you haven't already, join my Telegram group. I have a Telegram group now, right? The Telegram group is if you search it up within Telegram, the app, it's TD Hip Hop Media, but I just dropped the link in the live chat. And if you're watching the replay, the link to join the Telegram group is also in the description box as well, and it should be pinned in a live comment. It should be pinned in the comment section once this stream is over. But please join me on Telegram, join the Telegram group, so that way we can stay connected. And it just makes it a lot easier to be able to get information out to the audience. And we don't have to worry about things like, shadow banning via Twitter and other mainstream media social platforms, right? So, or I shouldn't say mainstream media, but social media platforms, right? So please do that. Do me that favor and join me on Telegram. Hit the like button if you haven't already. It's free. Please hit the like button and let's get going with today's show. Now, what I want to talk about today, right? Let me pull this tweet up first. I want to talk about why Stacey Abrams was observing the Nigerian election, right? It's Nigeria election 2023, right? The presidential election. And Stacey Abrams was there. But I want to discuss why she was there. Now, at the end of the day, none of us really truly know why. They're not going to give us, you're not going to find that information really anywhere other than like secret document files, that are within the US government. But we can speculate why she was there. And that's what we're going to do today as we go over some information that'll kind of help bring things around full circle, that will bring our speculations to light. And to be honest, right, just to get straight to it, the reason that she was there, right, before we get into the information, in my opinion, was not to interfere with the election, right? Because I see a lot of people that say she was there to interfere with the elections. She wasn't there to interfere with the elections as much as she was there to gain intel on Nigeria and how they go about doing their election amidst all of the corruption that's going on in Nigeria. And we're going to get into that as well. We're going to get into the election corruption and just how unfortunately bad things are over there. Okay. But first, like I said, let me pull up this tweet to kick things off. So give me just a second. And while I'm pulling that up for you right now, once again, smash that like button and hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't subscribed already and you're new to the channel. So I believe this is a tweet right here. Twitter, I want to make sure I click on the right thing. Yes, there we go. So as you can see, just a moment. Okay, let me remove myself from off the screen. Okay. And also thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jenny Lamb, for kicking off the support to the channel with the super chat for $19.99. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Jenny Lamb said, "Support, respect to the facts. No lies told here. TD is straight up." I appreciate your support. Everyone's support to this channel is definitely appreciated and definitely much needed. Even if it's $1, it all helps. I'm not that kind of a streamer that will sit up here and berate you for only cash apping me $1. I've definitely seen that before in the past with other streamers. I'm not that guy. It's all appreciated. But now let's get into today's topic, right? So this is a tweet right here from Muhammad. I believe the last name is Jamjoom, right? I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it is what it is, right? And this is the reporter from Al Jazeera who was actually interviewing Stacey Abrams. And in the tweet he put up, he said, Covering the Nigerian election 2023, I spoke with Stacey Abrams on Al Jazeera English about what she has seen so far in Abuja as co-leader of the joint NDI and IRI Global International Observer Mission. Now we're going to get into who the NDI is, and we're also going to get into who IRI Global is as well. Okay. Here's part of that interview. So now let me play a little bit of this interview, and then we're going to dive deeper into who exactly the NDI is as well as the IRI. But let's play some of the Stacey Abrams interview.
Thank you for being with us. Let me ask you first, what are you seeing thus far at the different polling stations you have visited here in Abuja?
I would say that despite a slow start with the BVAS, we have seen orderly lines, we have seen long lines signaling strong enthusiasm, but we've also seen a great deal of cooperation and a very peaceful conversation among voters. They want to be heard, and they are willing to stand in line and have patience because they know that's their path to progress.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the things that I have observed the past few days, this huge contingent of youth voters that many believe will really play a significant role in this election. And the people that we've been speaking with have said they believe there will be high turnout today. You, of course, are well known in the United States for your activism, for being a political figure, an author, somebody who has done so much to try to expand voting rights. From the conversations that you have had, especially with youthful voters here in Nigeria, what is the takeaway?
Well, I've had a chance to speak with Yaga and with a number of youth voters across the state. And what they've said almost uniformly is they want to be heard. They believe progress is possible. They believe that more is possible. They understand that they are the most assailed by unemployment, that the challenges they face are real, but that so is the opportunity for change. What we've tried to have a conversation about, though, is the caution that not every election turns out the way you want, but that the responsibility is to show up and try to shape the future as much as you can.
So now I want to take a quick second to just observe what Torian said, right? Shout out to Torian, Rain Reloaded. Torian said this woman is clearly bored and just needs something to do with her time. Here's the thing with why she's the one that was sent. And we're going to get into that as I go on to further explain, like I said, the organization, the NDI, and I believe it was called the IRI that sent her there, right? She was sent there by, technically speaking, non-governmental organizations. But what we're going to see as we get into the information is that it was the United States government that sent her there, right? But they couldn't have a actual U.S. governmental official go there to observe the election, because then that would be too obvious. It would be too crazy sounding and too crazy looking, even though it is obvious what's happening by sending her there. But just on technicalities, they're not going to send an actual governmental official, somebody who's in Congress, somebody who's in the Senate, somebody who's an active governor or who's an active city councilman, like in your local government. They're not going to do that. So since Stacey Abrams lost to Brian Kemp in Georgia, but she is the current darling of the Democratic Party. And I actually have more that I want to say about her in a video down the line concerning that, but she is the darling at the moment of the Democratic Party. They sent her down there because she was their most how would I say it? She's their top girl. I'll just say, we'll keep it like that. She's their top person at the Democratic Party, and they sent her over there in order to be able to collect information, but also it'll be a way that she can use this to be able to say, I have a lot of international experience as well by going overseas and dealing with elections overseas. Like it all ties in to why she's going over there. But now let me get into who the NDI and the IRI is. So give me just a second while I pull that up. Give me just a moment, okay? So add to stream, and let me remove myself. Now, as you see in this tweet, it says, she's the co-leader. Excuse me. I'm going to read the tweet again. Covering the Nigerian election 2023, I spoke with Stacey Abrams on Al Jazeera English about what she has seen so far in Abuja as co-leader of the joint NDI and IRI Global. Okay, now who's the NDI? The NDI right here, as you can see, NDI is the National Democratic Institute. That's who the NDI is, the National Democratic Institute. And here's their website that you can see right here. And I saw that somebody put in the live chat that she was sent by the Democrats, but hold your horses there, right? Because remember, the IRI was a part of that group that sent her as well. And the IRI, as you can see here, is the International Republican Institute. Okay. So she was sent by the National Democratic Institute and the International Republican Institute. All right. Now let's read a little bit of who the National Democratic Institute is, as well as the IRI. Right. So now this top part right here, I'm not going to read, that isn't highlighted, because it's just a general broad view of who the NDI is, in which they say, state, we're all about democracy and spreading democracy and helping, governments across the world conduct their elections accordingly, blah, blah, blah. Right. But let's get into like the formation of the NDI. The NDI was founded in 1983, shortly after the United States Congress created the National Endowment for Democracy, NED. The NED's creation was followed by the establishment of three related institutes: the Center for International Private Enterprise, the National Democratic Institute of International Affairs, and the National Republican Institute of International Affairs, right? The NED provides funds to these three institutes and an expanding number of private sector groups so that they are able to carry out programs abroad. The NDI claims to be a nonpartisan and does not operate in the United States. It takes no position on U.S. elections, okay? Although it has loose affiliation with the Democratic Party and is a cooperating organization with the Liberal International, right? So translation, and the National Democratic Institute was created by the U.S. government, and it was created by the Democratic Party. So yes, this is a non-governmental organization. Yes, this is a nonprofit. But if this organization comes to your country, that's the Democratic Party of the United States of America that has essentially come to your country, right? And the same thing goes for the IRI as well, right? IRI being International Republican Institute. Now, just like in the other Wikipedia article, the first paragraph is just explaining, who they are and what they're about concerning, fair elections and blah, blah, blah. But let's get into the formation of the International Republican Institute, right? Founded in 1983, it was initially known as the National Republican Institute for International Affairs. Its activities included assisting political parties and candidates develop their values and international structure, good governance practices, civil society development, civic education, women's and youth leadership development, electoral reform, and election monitoring and political expression in closed societies. IRI has been active in Haiti, Honduras, the Middle East, Poland, and Georgia. In 2018, U.S. Senator John McCain informed its board of his intention to step down as chair of the IRI after 25 years in the role, and recommended that for U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan to succeed him. Okay, so I want to read this article as well. So it's what the NDI, the National Democratic Institute, officially released, right? But before we get into that, and before I dive too deep into that, right, what I want us to understand and what I want us to see, right, is how much national politics is simply bread and circus, right? It's as fake as WWF wrestling, or I should say WWE wrestling today. It's good cop, bad cop, right? Stacey Abrams was not just simply sent by the Democratic Party. It was a joint effort. She was sent by Democrats and Republicans, right? And she was sent by way of these fake, non-governmental, non-profit organizations that are clearly government organizations that I just read. All right. That's who sent her. And that's the guys that they sent her under, is that we're sending this non-governmental official by way of this non-profit, non-governmental organization just to simply observe the elections and to, give maybe a little bit of advice here and there. Right. That's what's happening right now. So now, before I continue on, make sure, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and please make sure you share this video out on all your social media platforms. Now let's carry on. And I want to read this article right here, right? That was released by the National Democrat Institute concerning their quote mission, right? Notice the language that they have here, right? They refer to what they're doing as a mission, okay? I just find that very interesting, but it's going to go into their mission and why they were there and what they were attempting to do, right? So let me dive into that very quickly. Give me just a moment as we scroll down. So the International Republican Institute and National Democratic Institute Joint Election Observation Mission. That's what this was. It was a joint election observation mission by both the Republican Party and the Democrats, right? The National Democratic Institute and the International Republican Institute 40-member joint IEOM, which is election observation mission, was deployed across all 6 geopolitical regions of the country and observed all stages of the voting process. Their observations informed preliminary findings and 27 practical recommendations to improve future elections. Okay, so that's what apparently their mission was. It was a 40-member joint mission in between Republicans and Democrats to quote, allegedly, at least they would like us to believe, improve future elections in Nigeria, right? But now let's carry on as we go further on to the bottom. The mission encourages INEC. INEC is a governmental electoral organization in Nigeria. We're going to get into more of that in a moment, right? But that's who the INEC is. The mission encourages INEC, the government, political actors, and civil society to, I believe that says redouble their efforts to deliver on citizen expectations for transparent and inclusive elections, and to ensure that electoral outcomes are a credible expression of the voters' will. The delegation is grateful for the hospitality and cooperation it received from all Nigerians with whom it met. IRI, Republicans, and NDI, Democrats, will continue to watch the remaining phases of the election process, including the announcement of official results and swearing in of newly elected officials. So they're going to stay all the way until the very end, all the way until the point that the newly elected official has been sworn in. The delegation's work was possible thanks to support from USAID. And we're going to get into the USAID in a moment. And as you can see here at the very end at the bottom, where it says background, the NDI and IRI mission stresses that the statement issued today is preliminary in nature, right? And as you can see here, NAI board member Stacey Abrams, American political leader, lawyer, and voting rights activist. So she's an NDI board member, right, for the Democratic Party. Now, give me a second. Let me take a sip of this water very quickly. And I want to take a moment now to get into the USAID. Okay, so now let's get into the USAID. And we're not going to dive too deep into them, right? We're not going to get too deep into it and like start reading a bunch of articles over there. But I just want to establish, right, my point for bringing up the USAID, because as you can see, it states here, the delegation's work was possible thanks to support from USAID, right? The delegations being the IRI and the NDI, right? And as you can see here, the USAID is the United States Agency of International Development. And as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, USAID.gov. So this is right here a governmental organization. And this is the governmental organization that sent Stacey Abrams over to Nigeria. So nobody can say that she was just simply went on her own by way of non-governmental organizations just for the sake of making sure that everything is fair and observing that things are happening peacefully. No. That's not why they're there. They're sent by the government for the purposes, essentially, of spying, right? That's what's really going on. they're spying, under the guise of help. They're spying under the guise of, we just want to make sure that you guys are having fair elections. And if there's any way that we can assist you, hey, we're here for you, right? Now, I want to get into some other stuff now concerning Nigeria and the corruption that's going on over there. Because what you're seeing happening is not the United States of America looking to assist Nigeria in being able to have more fair elections, right? But like I was saying, as it pertains to Stacey Abrams essentially being a spy, allegedly, right? Essentially, they're just gaining intel on how their corrupt elections work in order for them to be able to exploit the corruption that exists within Nigeria. And there's a lot of corruption that exists within Nigeria concerning elections and just their overall state of existence as a country as well. Now, when you're speaking about Nigeria, we're talking about the richest. Nigeria, if I remember correctly, is the richest country in Africa. Okay. It's the richest country in Africa, and it's the most populous country in Africa. And it's also one of the youngest countries in Africa as well. Now, what a lot of people don't know, some of you may know, but a lot of people don't know. Let me pull this up on the screen very quickly, is that Africa is actually it is the youngest like continent like on the planet as far as age is concerned, right? I don't mean in terms of longevity, like how long the continent of Africa has been around, but as far as median age is concerned, the African continent has the youngest population. And just to give a little context to understand like how young the continent of Africa is in terms of their median age, right? Let me pull this up here. The median age in America is 38 years old, right? That's the median age in America, 38 years old, all right? But when you come over here, right, to Statista, African countries with the lowest median age as of 2022. Niger, they have the youngest median age. The median age in Niger is 14 years old. The median age in Uganda is 15 years old. Okay, like this to me that just sounds insane. Like that's crazy, right? But when it comes to, I don't mean crazy in a bad way, but that's just hard to believe that you have a whole country in which the median age is essentially 14 and a half years old concerning Niger, right? But then when you scroll down to even more to Nigeria, and we get to Nigeria over here, the median age in Nigeria is only 18, 19 years old. That's the median age over there, okay? So I say all that to say concerning Nigeria having the largest economy on the continent of Africa, as well as being the largest population in Africa, and then having such a young population, is that Nigeria, there's a lot of room for growth over there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of room for economic growth. There's a lot of room for innovation, in Nigeria concerning how young the population is, right? And with that growth, potential growth, and with the potential of a lot of breakthrough innovation that can happen over there, what the U.S. is seeking to do is essentially figure out how to properly manipulate their corrupt elections in order to be able to siphon that wealth out of the country. And now, obviously, the U.S. isn't the only one that's playing this game. China is as well. And we all know that China is running all through Africa right now, and virtually every country. I'm not going to read this article here, but as you can see, Nigeria bets on Chinese funded port to drive economic growth, right? This was an article that was released January 24th of this year. So, everybody's got their hands on Africa. Everybody's got their hands in these different countries all across the continent. But just want to focus on Nigeria, right? That's essentially what the reason that the U.S. is there, right? And that's the reason that they're essentially spying on the election to gain intel in order to be able to manipulate the elections so that they can extract the potential wealth and resources and innovation that will be coming out of a country as young as Nigeria is, with the potential of prosperity that it does have. They're seeking to extract that wealth out of there, right? But now let's take a moment to get into the corruption that's happening in Nigeria, because when you have elections and a society within Nigeria, and I'm not bashing on them or anything like that. I want to make sure that it's understood that I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. We're just being honest about just what's happening over there. When you have a country that's kind of in disarray the way that it is, it just makes it that much easier to be able to infiltrate their elections and just create more confusions for the purpose of extracting their wealth and resources. I mean, just as it always has been going on. Okay, but I just want to give you guys a real world view currently of what's happening over there concerning their elections. Now, this article was written in December, so this was, what was that, 2 months before the election, but this is kind of all of the stuff that was going on prior to the election even happening, all the madness that was happening in Nigeria, right? Attacks on election facilities raised concerns ahead of Nigeria's February polls. Let me get a sip of water real quick, and then we're going to get into this article, one more article, one video, and then we'll be out of here. Okay, so give me just a moment. And while I'm taking a little sip of this water, please make sure you hit the like button, share this video out, and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel already. Okay, now let's carry on, and I want to get into this article right quick. Okay, so police officials in southeast Nigeria say operatives killed 3 armed men on Monday when a gang attacked the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, or INEC, one of several attacks on the commission's office ahead of Nigeria's polls in February. The INEC officials have said attacks on facilities will not deter the commission from conducting the elections, but political observers say the attacks are already having an impact on the process. IMO, state police, or I believe that's not an acronym. I think that's the name of the state, you know what I mean, or the city, however they break down that stuff over there in Nigeria. So that's probably pronounced like emo or IMO, right? IMO State Police spokesman Michael Abatum told journalists Monday, I should say, that officers repelled an early morning assault on an INEC facility in, or I don't know how to pronounce these names, or we or something like that, the state capital, which is the state capital, killing 3 of the attackers and arresting 2 others. Okay, so this attack was happening at the state capitol over there. He said the police also recovered firearms, improvised explosive devices, and some vehicles. The attackers threw explosives into the facility, destroying part of the building and some vehicles before the officers halted the attack. This was the 3rd attack on the INEC facilities in Imo State in the past 2 weeks, following similar attacks on a facility in nearby Orlu district last week, and another one on the local office in Oru West at the start of December. And once again, excuse me for not being able to pronounce these, these names. I don't know how to pronounce these little city and state names over there in Nigeria. We're about to wrap this article up. Why these attacks are increasing is the fact that INEC is insistent on trying to improve the process of the elections. The INEC chair has mentioned that they're going to deploy technology for the election. This is just an attempt to distract INEC. This election is going to be competitive. If these coordinated attacks continue, it will affect their confidence to even induce the process in those states that are affected, said James. INEC spokesman Festus Okoye said in a statement that no critical election materials were destroyed in Monday's attack. The commission on Monday officially started the distribution of permanent voter cards, PVCs, and the process will run through January. However, God bless Otubre, leader of another pro-democracy group, The Ready to Lead Africa initiative says the attacks are affecting voter confidence ahead of next year's polls. Remember, this article was written in December, about 2 months before the election that just happened, about 5 days ago, right? People are calling us saying they don't want to get their PVCs anymore, right? PVCs meaning permanent voter cards. They just don't want to die. Really let that settle in, okay? Really, that's I'm highlighting the level of corruption that happens within Nigerian elections, okay? This man just said that the people over there, they don't want to get their PVC cards, their permanent voter cards, to even be able to participate in the election in their homeland because they just don't want to die. These folks can die voting over there. Our responsibility is to engage Nigerians on the need to vote and participate. We don't control the security apparatus. I cannot guarantee any Nigerian right now that I can call the military to respond to anything because I am not in authority, said Utubre. So that's how bad things were leading up to the election, right? 2 months away from the election. People didn't even want to get their voter cards because, as Otubre said, I believe his last name was, they just don't want to die. Okay. And this is the election that Stacey Abrams, alongside with the Democrats and Republicans, because Democrats and Republicans sent her. I just wanted to remind you all of that if you're tuning into the stream a little bit late. Stacey Abrams, just as a reminder, was sent to Nigeria by the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in a joint effort, right, to monitor the Nigerian election, in my opinion, to gain intel, to be able to get a better understanding of how to manipulate their elections in the future. I don't believe that they had anything to do with the election fraud that's happening over there now. But when it comes to future elections, I believe the United States will be doing a lot of meddling. And that's why Stacey Abrams was there by way of the Republicans and the Democrats to observe their elections. Now, excuse me, let's carry on to the next article that I want to get into. Right. And make sure you hit the like button if you have not hit the like button already. Now, this article was released, I believe it was 4 days before the election. Right. So now you saw what was already going on, 2 months before the election. Then 4 days before the election, you had this. Suspected rebels kill 8 police officers ahead of Nigeria election. Right. At least 8 Nigerian police officers have been killed in separate attacks by suspected rebels in the country's southeast just days ahead of presidential elections. The killings come as more than 90 million people are registered to vote this Saturday to elect successor to Nigeria's president, Muhammad Buhari, who is stepping down after 2 terms in office. 4 officers were killed in an attack on a police station in Anambra State on Monday. Local police spokesman, I can't pronounce his name, local police spokesman said, right? While authorities are searching for suspects in the killing of 4 other police officers and 2 separate attackers over the weekend. So police officers over there just getting killed like crazy. The rebels attacked Awada police station in Idimili North, okay, using improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and automatic firearms. Ikinga said the police death toll from Monday's attack. All right. 4 police operatives said that, excuse me, 4 police operatives paid the supreme price while a section of the station, while a section of the station, all right, 1 police patrol vehicle and 3 exhibit vehicles parked in the premises were set ablaze. Okay, so I was just reading that wrong. So yeah, they set stuff on fire over there. He said in a statement, 3 of the attackers were also fatally wounded, and 2 others were arrested. He added, police have blamed the attacks on a rebel group known as the Indigenous People of Biafra, Biafra, right? IPOB indigenous people of Biafra, which is fighting for the independence of the ethnic Igbo people in southeast Nigeria. All right, so that's who the indigenous people of Biafra is. They are fighting for the independence of the ethnic of the ethnic Igbo people in southeast Nigeria. The IPOB and its armed wing, the Eastern Security Network, have denied responsibility for the frequent attacks in the region. The violence has stoked fears about the ability of Nigeria's security forces to protect voters at the polls this weekend, right? I'd be scared to vote too if you have these folks out here killing up police officers who are supposed to be guarding the polls. I wouldn't be out there trying to vote either, honestly. You're not gonna catch me in the voting poll over there. Festus Okoye, an official with Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, said the commission might not be able to deploy polling stations because of security concerns. Okay, I think we're about to. Okay, we're almost going to wrap this up. I was just checking. The security agencies have promised that they have the capacity to secure our communities to make it possible for people to vote, he said. But for people in zones that are still in conflict, there is absolutely nothing we can do. I'm going to repeat that again, okay? But for people in zones that are still in conflict, there is absolutely nothing we can do. Nigeria faces multiple security threats, including separate armed groups fighting for different causes in the southeast and northeast, and kidnapping gangs involved in criminality in the northwest. So, as I'm just explaining to you right now, and as you're seeing, all over, the country is corruption and madness, right? You have multiple groups fighting for multiple different reasons, engaging in violence, blowing up police stations, killing police officers, destroying, election poll stations, and kidnapping. This is what's happening over in Nigeria right now, and this is what the United States government is seeking to exploit by way of sending Stacey Abrams over there to observe, which is translation to spy and bring back intel, right? To make their job easier in being able to infiltrate and manipulate future elections. All right. But let's carry on. Now, okay. Nigeria's unemployment. Oh, okay. And this is just going to further go into just the current state of Nigeria. And once again, I want to make sure I reiterate, I'm not trying to beat up on, if you're anybody's Nigerian, you're watching, I'm not trying to beat up on anybody, but I'm just making sure to get this information out there because I want people to have full clarity on the state of Nigeria concerning why the U.S. would even be entertaining sending Stacey Abrams over there. Okay. But Nigeria's unemployment rate is about 33%. While the number of Nigerians living in poverty rose to 133 million, or 63% of the population in 2022, according to the National Statistics Bureau. That's wild. 63% of the country is in poverty. Youth unemployment now stands at 43%, compared with 10% prior to President Buhari's first administration in 2015. The Naira currency, I believe it's called Naira, that's their version of their dollar currency, has also fallen from an average of 200 Naira to a US dollar in 2015 to approximately 750 on the parallel market. So let me explain that a little bit better, right? Essentially, but I obviously I'm assuming you all get it. Essentially, in a very short period of time, the Nigerian dollar, we'll say, at one point in 2015, 200 Nigerian dollars was worth $1 American dollar. Well, now, as of 2023, their economy has gotten even worse, right? Despite the fact that they have the largest economy on the continent of Africa. Now, $1 American dollar is worth $750 Nigerian dollars. So just like I said, just giving you guys a little insight on what's happening over there. Now, do I have another article that I wanted to? I don't believe so. Oh, yeah, there's this one right here. I'm not going to read it, but I'll give you guys the cliff notes of it, right? So here's this article right here, and its title is from NPR. And now this came out after the election, right? Nigeria's general election saw disorganization and violence. And now that I'm thinking about it, I find this very interesting as well, right? And it just goes to further prove how fake Stacey Abrams is, and how obvious what her mission is, right? Because if you go back to the video that I played, and I'm not going to play the Stacey Abrams video again of her talking to the people on Al Jazeera News, right? But based on her reporting, she said that, everything's going well. People are showing up, they're turning out, they're voting. Where I am, things are very peaceful, and everything's going great. But clearly, months before the election, days before the election, and the day of the election, it's been nothing but chaos. That's all it's been, and I've proved it to you throughout a series of articles that I went through. It's been pure chaos over there in Nigeria leading up to these elections. But when they asked Stacey Abrams about it, Stacey Abrams says, everything looks fine to me. If that doesn't tell you what her true intentions are, and when I say her, it's not necessarily just her as the individual, but she represents the United States government. If that doesn't tell the truth in regards to why she's actually there, I don't know what will. Nigeria is on fire right now, right? And she's standing in the middle of the fire going, everything looks great to me. That's very telling. That's very, very, very telling, right? Now, I want to get into this last video right now, just to kind of drill in the current state of Nigeria. Okay, so this is a CNN International video that I'm going to play for you right now. I believe it's about 4 minutes long, but I'll cut in and cut out every now and then for a little added commentary. But once again, all this is necessary in order for us to get, like I said, a greater understanding of why the U.S. government is intervening and is there in the capacity that they have entered into the country to observe the election in Nigeria, right? But let me play this right now.
Country is no longer working for them, want to go elsewhere, and it's not just
okay, so it kind of cuts off a little bit, but he says the people feel that this country is no longer working for them, so now they have to go elsewhere. Okay,
people who feel that this country is no longer working for them want to go elsewhere, and it's not just a trickle anymore, it's a steady stream. Watch. It's become a social media trend.
I'm leaving Nigeria, guys.
Nigerians fleeing the country and filming as they relocate for greener pastures abroad. Adu Ayeni is packing up his house in Lagos, getting ready for his flight to the UK in a few days to start a new job and a new life. It's called Jakpa, a Yoruba word meaning flee that has become the shorthand for the exodus out of Nigeria.
I am Jakpa.
So once again, this is called Japa, right? That's the name that they have for fleeing, and that's essentially what this CNN news video is about. It's about Japa, those fleeing from Nigeria.
Exodus out of Nigeria.
I am Jakpaing and leaving the country, like we say, because of the opportunities that are available to me abroad. I'm going there to have a better life, better economy for my family.
Nearly 70% of Nigerians would relocate out of the country if given the chance, a 2022 survey by the Africa Polling Institute found.
Nearly 70% of the population would leave the country if they could. That's what this man just said. I'm going to play that one more time.
Nearly 70% of Nigerians would relocate out of the country if given the chance, a 2022 survey by the Africa Polling Institute found. What frustrates you most about living in Nigeria?
Are you sure you want me to answer that question?
I do.
Because there are a lot of things that frustrate me, starting with the most basic of all, power supply.
Many Nigerians fed up with erratic power supply, the high cost of living, insecurity, and persistent corruption are emigrating, mostly to Europe and North America.
Okay, so the reason that this part right there is blurred out is because this is actually a song that's being played, right? And the song that's being played by this Nigerian rapper, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Japa, and in the song, he's running, saying like Japa Japa, like no, 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 or something like that. But what's interesting is that you can see is that he's running from white men. So I'm assuming that the setting here is in his music video is that he japa'd, right? He japa'ing, which means fleeing, right? He japa'd to, I'm assuming that's most likely the UK, right? And he's running from the UK immigration officers. That's what appears to be is happening in this music video. But just letting you know what's happening, and that's why the audio is cut off. And I want to give you a direct quote what was said by the reporter as this music video was playing. Because like I said, I didn't want to play it because I don't want problems with YouTube, with the music playing. But the reporter, while this song was playing, said that Japa, and this is a direct quote, Japa is part of popular culture in Nigeria because almost everyone knows someone who's leaving or has left. Okay. So this is why you got, brothers like my man over here that you saw got whole songs and music videos concerning japa'ing, which means fleeing in Nigerian. It'll start back up in just a moment. Give it a second.
And when they japa, they seek good life. They seek the good life.
Let me restart that again. He said, and when they japa, they seek. He said, and when they japa, they seek the good life.
And when they japa, they seek good life. They seek the good life. They seek the good road, good everything.
I have a family. Where are they today? Where are they? My family is school in America because of security.
The P-Square Twins hope Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, who has promised to tackle the brain drain, can turn things around. But everyone is running on radical change to revive a deeply broken Nigeria, even the incumbent party. At this rally for the ruling party candidate Bola Tinubu, you can see why the campaign's messaging resonates, offering renewed hope for Nigeria and promising to fix the economy and secure the country. New beats on an old song perhaps, but it's still popular among his supporters, if not all of a weary population.
People are suffering. There's no money. There's no food. There are many things in this country. By grace of God, we survive in this country.
He said people are suffering. What did he say? There's no money and there's no food, I believe. Let me rewind that back one more time. He said people are suffering. I believe he said there's no money, there's no food. They're going through it over there. Shout out to JD Informant. I appreciate the support, JD Informant, for always coming through during live streams. Your support is definitely much appreciated. Thank you, brother. JD Informant said, only one man we can send to save Nigeria. Where's Rob? Yeah, Rob would set everything straight over there. We sent Rob over there. We sent Rob over to Nigeria. For those of you who don't know, we're talking about, my man Rob, our brother Rob from Black Light Revelations 2. We sent Rob over there. Rob will definitely set the country straight. Okay. Well, let me get back to this video.
There's no food. There are many things in this country. By grace of God, we survive in this country.
Those who can't survive are migrating out of Nigeria. The number of worker visas in the UK issued to Nigerians jumped almost 400% in just 2 years, according to official data. Nigeria was the 5th largest source of immigrants to Canada in 2021, moving up 8 places in just 5 years. About 50 doctors resettle out of the country every week, the Nigerian Medical Association says. In fact, the health sector is losing nurses, pharmacists, and other professionals in record numbers.
They're on the road to and she's going to explain it right now, but and because this is such a long, like it's like 4 minutes long, I'm intentionally like interrupting, just for YouTube reasons. So excuse me if it's a little annoying, but they're almost on pace to not having any doctors in Nigeria within the next coming years. And this woman is getting ready to explain that right now. So let me rewind that back just a little bit.
Nurses, pharmacists, and other professionals in record numbers.
If nothing is done to reduce the rate at which people, doctors, medical professionals, healthcare workers are leaving the shores of this country, it's just a matter of years. I'm not sure whether any doctor will be left in this country.
But most people in Africa's most populous nation can't leave. They can only hope that Nigeria's next leader will make it worth living in.
I think that was important that he said that just now. And the reason to me, like why that stands out and why it's important, when he stated that, the majority of Nigerians, they can't leave because they essentially they can't afford to leave. Who you're seeing mainly japaing, right, which means fleeing in Nigerian, is their like upper and middle class, right? Is their educated class, is, as you just saw, or I should say as you just saw, they're doctors, they're nurses, right? They're medical professionals. They're the ones that's leaving, going to Canada. They're the ones that's leaving, going to the UK. They're the ones that's leaving, finding their way to the US. It's not the quote riffraffs, right? And the reason that I bring that up for the very specific reason of when people like to point out immigrant groups in general, right? But specifically Nigerians, right? When it comes to the US, and they like to point at them and say, look at how they just got here and they're doing so much better than Black Americans and blah, blah, blah. These aren't the run-of-the-mill Nigerians that are coming over here, right? These aren't the riffraffs and the hooligans that are coming over here. These are the professionals, the college educated, right? This is the upper and middle class that's coming over here, and they enter and integrate straight into American society, right? Already ready to go. You get what I'm saying? These are doctors that are coming here, right? These are professionals that are entering into the country, right? These aren't riffraffs, right? These aren't the hooligans, right? These aren't the run-of-the-mill folks that are there. I keep stating the same thing over there. It's the upper class and the middle class, those who can actually afford to come here. So when they come here, they're already in a pretty good position, comfortable position to just hop right back into their place, their kind of place in society that they already were in Nigeria, right? Because they were professionals when they got here. They were college educated when they got here. So to me, that says a lot, right? It says a lot to that argument that people like to make of, oh, immigrants come here and they don't have anything, and they just all of a sudden, have businesses everywhere, and they're just all of a sudden doctors, and they're just all of a sudden this. And it's like, no. A lot of them, they have money when they got here. they were professionals when they got here. They were college educated when they got here, right? And the perfect case study concerning that stereotype of, oh, immigrants show up dirt poor, they don't know the language or anything, and they just outdo Black Americans. Well, if that was the case, then the perfect case study for that is the influx of Hispanics that come into the country by way of coming south of the border, right? If that was the case, then they will be far outpacing Black Americans as well. But when you look at that in statistics, they're not. And they're actually trending with their median wealth on their way to zero as well, just like Black Americans, right? So what's the big difference between the Nigerians and Hispanics, though? When you're looking at the Nigerians that are coming over here, like I said, this is a very specific class of Nigerians that are coming here, upper and middle class, versus when you're looking at Hispanics that are coming here by way of south of the border illegally, you're getting the influx of whole countries, like all of Mexico coming in. You're getting everyone's. You're not just getting upper and middle class folks. You're getting the riffraffs. You're getting the hooligans. You're getting the run-of-the-mill folks as well, right? And when that's the case, when you have that large of an influx of folks coming in, you're not about to see this median wealth just jump up and go high like that. No. The poverty that they came with is the poverty that they'll remain with when they get here. That's why you see when they get here, not much really changed for them. Not much really changes for them, right? So, anyways, I'm going to get off my soapbox concerning that. And let's get back into this video concerning what's happening in Nigeria.
Zain, just this year alone, I know 3 friends who used to live here in Lagos and no longer live in Lagos. One is in Canada, one is moved to the UK, a third to the US. And that's why you hear this thing, that Nigeria will happen to you. And you're Nigerian, so you understand this. The understanding that even if you're wealthy and you're insulated, there's only so much that your money can help you with. And there are sudden systemic challenges that will make sure that you're exposed to the vagaries, to the challenges of living in this country. And that's why so many people, those who can, want to leave.
Nigeria will happen to you. Yes, it will. Larry Mado, live for us there. I hope my fellow countrymen are treating you well, Larry. Thank you so much for being with us on this story. Appreciate it.
Now, they're both Nigerian, and they're laughing about that saying. And that saying that they're chuckling about as Nigerians is that saying is, don't let Nigeria happen to you. That's the saying that they're going off, that they're saying. Don't let Nigeria happen to you. That's a saying that they use within their own country concerning how bad things are. Don't let Nigeria happen to you. I just highlighting that. I think that's really interesting, right? I'm gonna play that one more time.
Money can help you with, and there are sudden systemic challenges that will make sure it will happen to you. And you're Nigerian, so you understand this. The understand people in Africa's most populous nation can't leave. They can only hope that Nigeria's next leader will make it worth living in. Zain, just this year alone, I know 3 friends who used to live here in Lagos and no longer live in Lagos. One is in Canada, one is moved to the UK, a third to the US. And that's why you hear this thing, that Nigeria will happen to you. And you're Nigerian, so you understand this. The understanding that even if you're wealthy and you're insulated, there's only so much that your money can help you with. And there are sudden systemic challenges that will make sure that you're exposed to the vagaries, to the challenges of living in this country. And that's why so many people, those who can, want to leave.
Nigeria will happen to you. Yes, it will. Larry Mado, live for us there. I hope my fellow countrymen are treating you well, Larry. Thank
Oh, okay. All right. So the video is over, right? What froze things up is that I messed around and pulled up the CNN article that I just wanted to show you guys very quickly. I'm not going to read it, but just concerning that phrase, right? Of don't let Nigeria happen to you. Okay. So this is the CNN article right here, and this is the CNN article that's is discussing Joppa. Many once again, remember that's when I was on my soapbox earlier. Okay, remember that when I was on my soapbox. Oh, let me take myself off the screen. Give me a second. Remember when I was on my soapbox earlier. Okay, and this is the point that I was stressing. You see the CNN article? Many talented young Nigerians are leaving. Halting the exodus will be a task for the next president. He's not going to be able to stop it because there's too much corruption over there. And, by way of Stacey Abrams in the United States government, they were spying to see how they can take advantage within future presidential elections to manipulate their elections. Right. But I just want to highlight that saying, like, that's Joppa is a cultural thing over there. Right. It's a cultural thing over there. So much so that they have the saying, as you can see here, may Nigeria, I wanted to make sure I got it right. It's may Nigeria not happen to you is a common prayer in Africa's largest economy and most populous nation. Okay. So that's the current state of Nigeria as we know it today. It's pretty bad. It's extremely corrupted. Government's corrupt elections, corrupt cops, power, lack of power, lack of food, lack of everything over there, to the point to where fleeing, joppaing is part of their culture, right? That's not me saying that. That's what the Nigerians from CNN were saying, right? It's a cultural thing over there, and the state of disarray that Nigeria is in is what Stacey Abrams and the United States government is looking to exploit. Bit my tongue. Concerning future elections. And I want to thank Reinhardt very much. Thank you very much, Reinhardt, for the super chat and supporting the channel. Reinhardt said, good research and commentary on this issue. Thank you very much, Reinhardt. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate everyone's contributions to today's show. It's very much needed. A lot of work goes into this research. So whatever you guys show love for the work that I put in on this channel, it is definitely much appreciated. And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. I want to thank you all for tuning into today's live stream. I believe that this was a fruitful conversation. Please make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Make sure you share this video on your way out. And if you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, if you haven't already, oh, my tongue hurts. I bit it bad. If you haven't already, I left the link just now in the live chat to my Telegram group. Okay, so make sure you join me on Telegram. Join me on Telegram. The link is in the live chat below. It's in the live chat. It's also in the description box right now, and it will be pinned in the comment section below as well after the stream ends. So with all that being said, thank you all for joining me. Thank you very much, Val Williams, for your support. Val Williams is always showing love, and I will catch you guys next Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the next live stream. But obviously throughout the week as well, there will be pre-recorded uploads. Catch you guys then. Peace.